Hello and welcome to SCN Corporate Connect. I'm Jane King at the New York Stock Exchange, and with me today, Alexander Kravitz, the founder of XTRADE.io, which I guess is a new type of trading platform. Am I describing the company right, or is that, you tell me?
Sure, thanks Jane. Thanks for having me here. Wonderful to be here. So XTRADE.io is a system that we're building to bring order to the fragmentation that is currently taking place in the crypto space. So you have a situation where you have multiple exchanges, over 60 to be exact.
That are trading cryptocurrencies right now.
Yeah, and a lot of times they'll trade the same actual asset, but it'll be trading at wildly different prices across the space.
Is that because of a lack of liquidity, or it's got this huge spread?
There's a lack of liquidity. There's a lack of account access, so you can't just simply open an account. A lot of times you'll have to open an account in Korea, in Japan, in the US, and in Europe in order to access those pools of liquidity. And it's just a cumbersome process. I remember I was opening an account at one exchange. I had to literally, one hand, hold up my photo ID. Another hand had to hold up a written statement signed by me saying that I was opening an account, and then I had to somehow take the picture, right? So I'm just standing there like this, and this is an account opening process. Imagine like Jamie Dimon opening an account like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just crazy. It's not going to happen.
Brand new world.
Exactly.
So you're trying to kind of smooth out that whole process and centralize it?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what's happening is that there's a shortage of universal interfaces to these exchanges. So for instance, just by using an API to connect to the exchange, you actually have to write to 60 different types of platforms. And so you'll have a WebSocket API, you'll have a REST API, sometimes you'll have a fixed API, but it's not really updated properly. And so if you want to create arbitrage opportunities, you have to access and write to 60 different exchanges, which is not fun. So we're actually creating a unified fixed API, which you're going to be able to get market data and send orders to all these exchanges using one interface. And we're creating an institutional on-ramp for large players to easily connect to the space using the fixed API.
And we've seen what's happening with Bitcoin this year. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's just been unbelievable to watch, and really globally this is going on. So will your system be global?
Exactly, it will be. So we're going to actually open accounts at multiple exchanges, and we're forming partnerships, joint venture agreements with exchanges. We have a few already in place, where if you have an account at that exchange, we'll go out to the street and do a trade at another exchange with our account. I'm bringing the execution back to you at the main exchange. So now you're going to be able to get the best prices and the best liquidity across the entire space with just having one or two accounts. Okay. And that's very important.
So let me ask some trader questions.
Sure.
So latency, you can make trades on this, right? Trades on this system, as well as get data and all kinds of information.
Absolutely. So latency is a big point right now. Yeah. So if you're trading over the web, let's say you're in Munich, right? And you want to send an order to San Francisco. So your trade's going to go Munich to Frankfurt to Paris to London to New York to Chicago to Texas to Arizona.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to take a lot of hops.
How long does it take to get your order filled?
150 milliseconds maybe over the web, sometimes 300 milliseconds. That's about a third of a second.
Okay.
And we actually have infrastructure at major data centers in the US and in Europe and also in Asia, where we cross-connect all the major exchanges. So now if you take your coded solution and put it in our server, your latency is 2 milliseconds.
Okay.
That's like, you know, a lot faster than having it go over the web, and not just for market data, but for execution too. And that makes a big difference when you're trying to do high-frequency trades or just do arbitrage between exchanges. Another product we're releasing is called the XTRADE Pro system. So I was a proprietary trader for about 3 years, and then I ran a broker-dealer that basically catered to clearing, execution, market data, software, APIs, colocation, high-frequency stuff. And so I ran these systems. I was the guy who you called when something was going down. I was the guy who used these systems myself. And you know what they have to do in order to work. And so we're building a similar system for cryptocurrency, where instead of having all these disparate web pages where you have to click through like 60 pages to do a trade, or you have to cancel an order manually and then it's very hard to put it back in, and you don't have stop orders in some exchanges. It's just crazy. Imagine a 24/7 market where you can't put a stop order. It's out of control.
Heart failure.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we're creating a system which is going to actually create all the order data into one order box, one level 2 window, if you will. But all the exchanges are individual participants. Sort of like you have at the New York Stock Exchange. You have ARC, BATS, Direct Edge. Same thing for crypto. Bittrex, Kraken, all those guys are aggregated into one order book. And you'll be able to see the top liquidity and be able to send orders to those participants. So you'll see an aggregated view and be able to actually act on it. And you'll have advanced order types, client-side that we're going to build. So it's not just limited market orders. There's VWAP, there's TWAP, there's midpoint orders, there's macro order entry shortcuts where you press a key and multiple orders go out to multiple markets. Another problem is liquidity. So if you have $1 million order and you put it in one exchange, it's going to move the market 5%, sometimes 10%, especially if it's volatile. And with us, you can actually take that order and you can piece it out to multiple exchanges. So now you can actually get a much less slippage on your fill. and be able to get a much better price for yourself and for your clients if you're managing crypto assets, and that's a very big benefit.
Sure. So what about commissions and cost and the structure, like you mentioned the pro tier, how does all that work?
Sure. So as far as commissions at most exchanges, they usually have a highest tier, and then as you're trading more and more, you get a better price on your trade as far as execution costs. So because we're going to aggregate a lot of this volume, we're going to be able to get a much lower tier on our executions to pass the savings on to our clients. And that's our strategy, to kind of create a value add around our system, not just for market data and execution, but also for commissions. Okay. So all our services are going to be denominated in something called the XTRADE token. And the XTRADE token is a token that we're releasing in a token sale the next few months. And the way it's going to work is that every execution that we do, every market data sale, VPS infrastructure, all the economics around our system are based around paying us in those XTRADE tokens.
And that's part of the ICO?
Exactly.
Okay, so
right.
Tell me about that. Where are you in that process?
So we actually finished our MVP. We have the fixed API built already.
Okay.
It's connecting to, I think, 2 or 3 exchanges at this point in time. And we're adding about 10 more by the end of the year, and probably another 20 or so by Q1. We're just finalizing our tokenomics, actually, there's a word for it. Very interesting word. And so we're going to engage in institutional pre-sale very likely in December, and then go out to some launch platforms to do a SAFT-based token sale. SAFT stands for Simple Agreement for Future Tokens. Okay. It's basically like a convertible debt instrument, except it's not debt, it's tokens. Okay. And then when we have the token generation event, which is going to be the public sale, likely in February, that's when we'll actually release all the tokens. There'll be a finite amount of tokens that's hard capped. We're going to look to generate anywhere from $75 million to $100 million worth of tokens. Okay.
And that will help you do what?
So most of the money is actually going to be used to establish those liquidity pools on multiple exchanges. Okay. Because what's going to happen is if we have a client that comes in for, let's say, $5 million and does a trade, we have to then execute that trade and deliver it back to him at his parent exchange. Now, obviously, he's not going to want the $5 million right away. He's going to want to trade in and out, back and forth. So we're going to settle on a batch basis, sort of like do an end-of-day file, except we do it every 3 hours, every few hours, and maybe even once an hour. But we have to keep cycling this money between exchanges, between blockchains, between different asset classes. Mm-hmm. And so we need to have a large pool of liquidity in order to effectuate that process.
Okay. And how can someone find out more about XTRADE.io?
Sure. Go to our website, xtrade.io, okay. Coincidentally. And there's a lot of social media there, a lot of engagements you can do with Telegram, with our LinkedIn, with our Facebook, with our Twitter. We're constantly putting out new information in blogs. We're writing a lot of cool articles. We're traveling to places, taking pictures. You can take a look at everything we're doing. Yeah. It's actually pretty interesting. I'm going out to Southeast Asia tonight at 1 in the morning.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, we're partnering up with an entity in Southeast Asia that's also aggregating liquidity, but they're focused more on attracting retail clients. So we're acting as the back end to their system. So we're setting up a partnership with them. We're going to announce in the next few weeks, which is a very good value add for both of us, because they're going to be able to leverage our back end, and we're going to be able to help them execute across the space. And we're doing these partnerships with a lot of different people. So we have an entity in Dubai we partnered up with, so they do multi-asset class execution for multiple banks. And what we're going to do is add the crypto app. So we're basically a plug-and-play solution to providers that do multi-asset class execution and want to add crypto, but don't have the ability to code to 60 exchanges and get that market data and make those trading decisions by themselves. So we're going to help them do that.
Fascinating. So, I mean, it's really interesting, everything that's going on with cryptocurrencies and digital assets right now. So thank you so much. Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for sharing this story of the company with us, Alex.
Jane, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you as well for joining us on SCN Corporate Connect. I'm Jane King at the New York Stock Exchange.